Hello, friend! Welcome back to another video with your man, Gentleman, and today I have another friend to interview. He's my best friend, Shahofen as well. His name is Tek Yi. He's a violinist. He's a music teacher as well. And it's just very nice to talk to him, just to learn a little bit about him, just to get a little bit of understanding about music and also about his life and his career. And it was a great conversation with him. And so I just without further ado, just let's get into the conversation with him. And it's gonna be a long one as well, not as long as Joel's one, but it's still a long one. Hopefully I'll in the next few episodes I'll just keep it more short and concise, but you never know where the conversation is gonna go. But hope you guys enjoy it. Let's get into the video.
Hi, my name is Tek Yi, and I'm a violinist and a musician and a teacher. So, yeah, basically that's what I do at the moment.
Cool. So maybe you can start off with in terms of like uni or in school days. What are sort of things that made you chose music?
What made me choose music?
I guess does it start in high school? Like when we are in primary school, secondary school, or does it start in sort of college or university?
I mean, I always loved music, but it never really came to my mind to actually pursue like music as a career, or really study it. Um, it it's a funny story because I originally after high school, after SPM, and then I originally wanted to. I was actually I enrolled into a foundation in engineering, actually, in MMU in Malacca, and about the first month, and then I got a call from my music teacher, and it's a funny story because she just called me and just asked like, hey, how are you doing, and so what are you doing now, and all that. She already knew that I was actually doing engineering, but then she said maybe you should change your mind, maybe you should pursue music for good. And I mean, it was always at the back of my mind, but I wanted to do something, like Asian stereotype that we always have to sort of do, like doctor, lawyer, or engineer whatsoever. But yeah, even my parents were saying like, yeah, maybe do something like that, and then maybe in future if you want to pursue music you can. But during that call, it was so basically she already talked to my parents about it, which is funny. She's like, oh yeah, I already talked to your parents about it, so you don't have to worry, just quit and just go audition for uni. And it's funny. So I was like, oh, okay. So I called my parents, and parents like, yeah, because my dad's an engineer as well. So my dad was like, yeah, maybe try something else. Just do what you like. So I said, okay, maybe I'll give that a shot.
So during that time when you had your teacher, what sort of grade were you in, or do you sort of like know what instrument you wanted to play, or what sort of prior knowledge before that?
I've just finished grade 8 in violin at that point, and then I don't know, maybe thankfully she sort of, I don't know, maybe she saw something in me, and she's like, well, maybe it would be a waste if you just throw that away. So she told me like, maybe you should really pursue it. So I was like, okay. Then I sort of enrolled into UCSI in KL for a foundation. Yeah.
So how was foundation, and how was sort of uni, like studying music in Malaysia?
First, so I had a great time there, and met a lot of good people, good friends, and then so the first year was good, and then I realized that maybe, I don't know, it was after a concert that I attended, and I felt, oh, this is really good, and but I felt, oh, maybe I want to venture into something else as well. I want to see what other places can offer as well. I mean, I felt, wow, maybe there's something else. I don't know. So I sort of finished my foundation, and then I worked for a year, and then sort of auditioned again to Birmingham in UK.
So actually, how was the process like for you to sort of go towards the next stage? Was it like do you have to play a certain thing, or you have to do go for how many types of what types of audition that you have to do? Maybe just tell a bit about what are the sort of courses, or what are the sort of things that you have to go through in order to venture out into music lah.
So this is in terms of going to UK, isn't it?
Mm.
Is it? Oh, okay. So uh, at that time, Birmingham Conservatoire was how do I put this? So basically, we have to obviously have to audition. So you have to have at least grade 8 and at least a grade 5 or grade 8 theory. I can't remember. I think it was grade 5, at least grade 5 theory. But yeah, you certainly. Thankfully, that year they came over to Malaysia to have a live audition instead of video recording or you flying over there to do the audition. So and it was the principal at that time that came over. And so yeah, you basically have to place whatever that's sort of maybe a diploma level sort of piece to show them that you're actually capable of studying in a conservatoire.
Right. So, like, what are the sort of stages? So yeah, after grade 8, I mean, most of the people, when it comes to sort of like when they reach grade 8, they sort of stop, unless they are really like wanting to be like teachers, or maybe study some more, then they have to take the like what you said, diploma or fellowship. So yeah, like how many stages are there, and what are the sort of like the top to in terms of levels that you can reach for music?
It's a weird it's a it's a very weird area, because I mean, grade 8 is certainly like you are capable of many things in your on your instrument. And then if you further down, it's like there's advanced diploma, I think it's called A something, and then you have licentiate, and then you have the fellowship. So these three are the so A is advanced. I think it's called associate, and then licentiate, and then fellowship, right? So those three are the fellowship being the hardest level, of course. And but in terms of I mean, it's funny because in Malaysia we usually take gradings as sort of like a step towards that sort of, okay, so you're grade 8, you're capable, and things like that. But funny enough, but in other countries like I don't know, in Taiwan, or maybe mostly in Europe, they don't really take exams at all. I mean, they certainly go for competitions, and they certainly do a lot of performances in concerts instead, which is is a very different I don't know, in terms of culture, I don't know, but they don't really do great, and they still play fantastically as well. But of course, it's just like a grade to tell you that, okay, you passed this, and you're capable, and you've known what you need to, and that thing. And that's
Right.
all.
So actually, so you play the violin. So did you have like a sort of idea, like, okay, violin is the instrument for me, or do you have like other sort of instruments that you wanted to do, but you sort of because of my loyalty to violin, so I had to choose violin.
Certainly, if I have if I had the opportunities, then certainly I would learn others as well. I love the piano, I love the cello, the viola especially. I mean, I don't know why a lot of people hate the viola, but viola is a beautiful instrument.
Why the hate
And
though?
so uh, it's like a musician joke. Like they don't really get noticed, and the melody is always either they're like in the middle, in like the gray area. But they certainly have one of the best. I mean, the best sound for any instruments. You know, they're just mellow and it's just beautiful human voice, rather.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, piano music, cello music is fantastic. I mean, yeah, if I get the chance to learn cello, I would have swapped, but but I started with violin, so yeah, certainly stick with that.
Mm.
I love it. I love it a bit.
Right. Okay. So after your foundation, which university did you apply to, and which uni did you go?
I only applied to one to one conservatoire only because at the time that I felt I'm not very confident enough to do it because it's like a huge a huge thing for me. Like studying music was already quite scary for me, and then like really venturing out like fully and into different culture and the different standards as well. It was quite scary for me, so I was like maybe should we do it? But then I went anyway. So I applied to do this one in Birmingham at the time. So and thankfully I had like a few friends over there who were already studying in Birmingham and London as well. But I chose Birmingham, so I only took one, and then I was grateful that I actually got the part and I got a scholarship for it. So yeah.
Wow.
So I was like,
That's great. So how many years were you there in Birmingham, and how was it there? How's life there as compared to being in Malaysia? Can
I've stayed there for 4 years. Yeah, about 4 years, and it's really nice. It's really nice. I love the weather there. I mean, a lot of people say it's grim over there. That
Yeah.
in the UK it's always dark and gloomy. I don't know. I kind of like the cold, and I don't know, but it was nice, and particularly for musicians as well, and all sorts of artists. Like there are museums everywhere, and there are performances everywhere, so it's very accessible. And as students, you get like really cheap prices for tickets as well. Really get really cheap tickets. Like we usually get £5 for a ticket, and sometimes free tickets to watch a great performance from all around the world, and just fantastic. So yeah, it was the best part was that we could always just take a train down to London and watch some really good players, and even just other than classical composers, or I mean classical music as well, in terms of other music
Right. So
festivals are anyway.
I guess when you reach there, you sort of would have like a culture shock, right? So maybe you can talk a little bit about how is it like settling down, and also maybe can talk a bit about in terms of the music, what was sort of like the culture difference like you mentioned before, and what are the sort of like things that you see are sort of maybe there is a good side or bad side of it in terms of the music culture there. Maybe you can elaborate on that.
Okay. Yeah, it was. I think the first year over there was kind of difficult because I would say the locals couldn't understand what we say, because we speak very Malaysian-y, and then they go like, what's la, they really couldn't comprehend, and sometimes they don't even try to learn. I mean, understandable, but certainly you do have to, you're in their territory, so you better learn how to speak, not like them, but give at least try to make them understand a couple of things. And it was quite difficult, especially listening for me. Like they have different accents, and like the Scottish, the Irish, and then you have different areas. You have the Cockneys, you
Right.
have the Manchester. It's just everywhere, and it's just. I mean, I love it because you sort of learn like how they speak, and different slangs and words even. It's nice. It's funny sometimes.
And
And
in terms of the like sort of music culture, like how is it there, as compared to Malaysia? I feel like Malaysia, there's a lot of sort of music schools and a lot of private teachers, but I don't think there are a lot exposure in terms of sort of concerts, and it's quite limited in the sense that it's only in sort of big cities that you can see or hear composers or people in the music industry to really sort of perform. So how is it like there in UK when you can see there are so many people just from all around Europe as well, just coming into Birmingham and just playing, and how does that make you feel?
Um, it's a wonderful feeling. That's really really uh, a good thing about being in the UK or even in Birmingham for me. Um, it's it's actually not too bad for now in Malaysia. I mean, despite the pandemic, but in Malaysia, it's coming up. Like a lot of people start to appreciate classical music, which is lovely. Which is finally. Um, I mean, it's also a very difficult thing because like classical music sort of originates, from there, in a way,
Right.
so it's in their culture, and so a lot of people sort of, um, it's just part of their culture. But for us, it's a completely different thing here, and and even even in the city in Birmingham, so they have like many theaters, many halls that you can sort of go to, and they have events all the time. And even, I mean, that's for classical music. If you're into like jazz music or just indie music or whatsoever music we have like bars that have like every week events, weekly events, and it's just great. You can you know always just go there and have a pint and then just sit down and listen to people play, you know and it's just great exposure. They always have like different guests coming over, and it's just a very lively thing, you know and they don't, I mean, in terms of their culture as well, they don't have yam chao, uh in or karaoke, so it's a very different thing. So they sort of, this is like their entertainment,
Right.
you know yeah.
And like, okay, so I think you just want to dial back on, there's also difference between like classical and modern music, right? So the classical music, you have your Bach, Chopin, and whereas for modern it's more towards jazz, boogie woogie, that sort of genre of music. Is there a difference in terms of which is more being celebrated there, or is there like a sort of in terms of different scenes? Also, it depends on your sort of interest and passion. But as as a musician, I think all of us, when we were young, we were sort of like introduced to more on classical music as a way to get your grades, or to go into exams, or to go into performance in sort of like in KLCC and whatnot, but not more so on sort of modern music. And sort of, I think in Malaysia it's more towards like you see a lot of all these young artists that's coming out with their own brand of music, but not necessarily in a sense of modern music in sort of like exams and performance, but more towards like bars and like sort of people that are in bands and trying to create their own sort of music. But how do you see that in sort of in UK, and what are the sort of like maybe differences, or sort of things that there is this between the classical and the modern music?
Hmm. I think um I think, like you said, it depends on what you're interested in. Like for
Right.
me, I am interested in both. I love jazz, I love classical. They're sort of,
Mm.
they're related as, as much as we actually think that they are.
Maybe you can talk a little bit about what is actually classical music, and what is sort of like jazz, and what are the sort of differences between the two music.
Actually, so right, we always think about classical music as being like Mozart, Beethoven, Tchaikovsky, but actually classical music is just a very general thing, right? If you're in terms of classical music, as a musician, classical music actually classifies as the classical period, right? So that's Mozart, Haydn, Beethoven, so like early Schubert. So that's only one small portion. Then there you have like Romantic period, and then you have you know, Impressionism, you have Expressionism. So it's a very long list, right? But if we're talking about differences between classical music and jazz, so it's just like a evolution of things, right? So it started with sort of Renaissance music. You know, they have like the chants, like Gregorian chants, and then you have and then you slowly goes into sort of what we call Baroque period, which is, you know, Bach, Vivaldi, you know, so that like Corelli, Purcell. So those are Baroque period, and then slowly into Mozart and, you know, Haydn, and then Beethoven, and then slowly Wagner, and then you keep going into 20th century, and then that is actually that is the split, right? In the 20th century, then you sort of go into sort of, you have the still classical one, right? And then sort of like serialism, which is what Schoenberg is very famous for, and then the other way, which was happening at the sort of the other side of the world, which is, you know, blues, you know, and then
The
that started on its
modern
own,
music,
you know.
yeah.
Yeah. So that sort of traject in that direction. So, but in terms of jazz and classical music, as in classical music, they're actually very similar, right? At the time, so what we think about classical music is Mozart. Let's talk about Mozart, right? So it'll be quite easy to, because everybody knows about Mozart. So what Mozart actually does is, he's really young, and sort of he has all this information. He has, you know, he's just a genius. He's creative, and what makes him so special is he actually was a jazz musician. So what actually happens in classical period music, or even Baroque? Actually, what they do is they improvise as well. So what we see now, like most of the time, that, you know, everything's written, right? So what actually Mozart does is he goes on stage, he plays it, or he composes it. So he goes up and play, and then he comes back from the performance, and he writes them down, like he remembers all of it. But basically, he improvises over what he plays, right? So it's actually very similar to jazz music now. Is you know, you have your progressions, you have your forms, and then you just play over it, and, you know, you improvise, and then you still have melody and stuff. So it's actually very similar, and it's actually quite quite the same, but not the same. But
Yeah, you sort of know the differences, but it's more like I guess in terms of different period, there's different type of music, and also, but
yeah,
at the end of the day, the core of it is still that there is also
yeah,
improvisation in terms of classical and also modern music, lah, right?
yeah. So it's just like at that time that we don't have like electrical guitars, we don't have
Right,
the
right.
drum kits that we had. So at that time, that was, you know, he, like Mozart was a rock star at that time, because he just, no, literally, he is a rock star. So
But I mean, there is
it's
also like
classical.
the sort of things like quartet, or, you know, the there's different instruments playing together.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
sort
yeah,
of
yeah.
like the modern way of a band sort of thing, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, I mean, of course, if you have like so many things happening at the same time, so obviously he would write their parts, you know, and for his own part, maybe, you know, I could just come up with that when I get on stage, you know, and I would just, yeah, yeah, he's a beast.
Great. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So in terms of in your sort of uni in Birmingham, like what are sort of things that you sort of learn during your time there, and maybe in terms of like skills or performance that you need to sort of improve to reach to a certain level. Like, so what are the sort of stages or the things that you have to learn to become a better player?
Um. Right. Ooh. Uh. There's a lot of things I've learned over the years. First being, I mean, I've always been quite insecure with my playing, because um, I had I don't know, I felt like I was always underprepared, and every time I meet teachers, and then they give me like different information, and it really confuses me, and so I have to sort of what do I do, and different techniques. And so I had a really hard time at the time. And then I had a incident that I had a little tumor on my arm, so I had it removed, and I couldn't play for 2 years
Mm.
uh, during my final years, which was very very stressful and a really down time for me. But uh, it sort of gave me like a really big insight to like it was quite a tough time, and at that time, of course, it was quite hard for me to really learn. But at the time, I mean, after that, it was like, it's not so bad, and it's not the end of the world. And in terms of skills, I mean, it was a great platform for me to watch other people play, and there are just plenty of teachers, or just people, this artists coming in and giving us like master classes. And we were so privileged to be part of it. So, and you get to watch how they play, and then in turn you actually learn how they play. So it's more like a lesson already for. So in terms of just watching, and you were like, wow, you also obviously appreciate that. It's just a good thing to sort of visualize how they do it, and you're like, oh, okay, damn, that's insane, but cool.
Right.
Yeah. And
I
sorry.
guess in terms of courses, right, there's also different ways that you can sort of approach it into music, right? There's like sort of performance, there is also teaching, and there's also more towards I'm not quite sure, but is there like different areas of music where you can focus on in during your uni? Like I think in terms there's a way that you can go focusing more on performance, where you just go on concerts, or be in sort of the orchestra, or whereas more towards teaching, and then you're sort of like being training yourself to become a teacher. And for you yourself, like what are sort of the decisions that you made in terms of your career path at that time?
um so obviously, what we had at the time is like, so it's a bachelor's performance course. So you study, mainly about performing, and then during the last 2 years, then you get to specialize in different areas. And I really like teaching, so I took up pedagogy as well. But it's just, it's not a specialization completely. You dedicate like a whole year to it, like not like a master's course. But of course, it's just like an introduction, and obviously quite an in-depth as well. So I did modern music, which is sort of into jazz music, and sort of learn the harmonies, and at the time, who was who, and what is what. And what else did I do? Pedagogy, and modern music, and I think a little bit of a sort of other classical music uh, backgrounds as well. But certainly, if there are other sort of courses that you can actually do instead of just performance. So obviously, one being pedagogy, which you sort of learn how to, and then you can sort of learn obviously performing. You have all different types of performing as well. So you have solo performance, and then you have chamber music. So you play in a quartet or an ensemble, and then you have orchestral playing. You also have you have also music production that you can learn, like how
Right.
to record, and we set up mics, and so that's a whole different course. And then obviously you have the jazz course, and then you also have but I mean, other than that, I don't think my uni at the time offers, but like other universities or conservatories might offer like musicology, music therapies. So there's quite a large options, got, you know, for music.
Right.
If that answers your question.
Oh yeah. And so I guess the next question is more towards what did you do after you finish your uni, and what are sort of work that you've been doing, or do you like sort of wanting to further extend your music knowledge and go into masters, or what did you do after uni?
So I wasn't planning to come back because I really wanted to further my studies because I didn't really I didn't really feel that I've finished a bachelor's due to my surgery and not playing for 2 years. So I was like, oh man, I felt like I sort of missed a great bit of it. So I wanted to continue my masters, and so I auditioned, but then it was uh, the fees were for me at the time, it was very expensive. So I decided to come back and maybe settle and work a little, and then like, okay, I can sort of go back and continue my masters. So that's what I've been doing. So I came back to Malaysia, and then I started to work as a teacher.
So yeah, I guess in terms of the sort of hand surgery that you had to go through, like what was sort of like the things that you sort of experienced at the time? I think at the end of the day, being a violinist, your hand is the most important part of playing, right? So and with that 2 years, just and I guess, yeah, how do you manage to sort of pass university, or just to also get, I guess you just now you mentioned that you sort of went out and try to get sort of knowledge and listen to other people how they play and try to get more experience that way, and maybe, yeah, just maybe can tell us a bit about sort of what went through your mind, when you sort of after the surgery, and what you've gone through lah.
Right. It was a very, very low point at the time. I didn't really do much because I was quite depressed, and I was alone, and I was living out of the city. So most of my friends, and they're all living in the city. So I was alone all the time. So that wasn't very healthy to start with. So I didn't really practice much, obviously, and I was not very keen on listening to music either. So it's sort of like a very painful thing to listen to music, and I felt like, oh, why can't I do this? And so it was quite painful, and slowly I sort of crawl out from that, and then but then, I mean, I couldn't I was thinking of taking a gap year, because I mean, since I couldn't do it, then might as well I take a gap year anyway.
Yeah.
But then because we are I mean, I was an international a student, and on international on a visa, so they wouldn't let me extend. So I still had to go through those 2 years anyway. So the third year wasn't that hard, but the fourth year was insane, because we have to demonstrate a sort of level of virtuosity, and for your final recital and your major project, which is what do you call it, final project? Yeah, final year project. So so I did I wanted to do a jazz recital, so I sort of wanted to transcribe some jazz music and some Radiohead music, and just like playing with a band, and just as a final project. Then I didn't manage to get it. It was quite a difficult thing, and for me to just learn jazz in less than a year, and sort of have to sort of deal with this recovery. So it was too hard, and sort of too difficult. So I sort of changed into a research, sort of like a report. So I had to write like a 13,000 word of my own. It's sort of based on my own research on how to learn sort of jazz violin, and it was quite funny, because the things, I mean, at first I felt like, how am I gonna write 13,000 word? I can't even write a 2,000 word essay.
Right.
And then so I had tutorials with my lecturers, and like, just write anything, whatever you can find, just put them in there. So I was like, "Oh, if you say so." So yeah, so I've put everything in, and then I sent it up, and then after a while, I mean, obviously the results came back, and it was really funny from from two of the lecturers. One was a pedagogy lecturer and one was a jazz lecturer, and then they sort of gave really funny comments and supportive comments, and obviously, thankfully good comments. And then I said, I mean, one of the comments were, I remember fondly saying, despite all this sort of sadness, and this feels more like a suicidal note, but you still take it quite humorously, and thankful for your a good sense of humor, that you're still alive, and we are very concerned, but we're still happy that you found your way out. Which is funny, but yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
I guess in terms of like that, and do you sort of have a lot of pressures in some sense when you see other musicians and the way how they play? I guess when you're a musician, you sort of like when you have a lot of sort of like you wanting to reach to a certain level, but you can't really do that, and you're sort of you have a lot of peers that are maybe because of culture they are much more in tune that way. So how do you sort of go through those kind of challenges?
Um. Certainly that's a that I mean, I think every artist or every musician feels that way when it's sort of like a you know uh, I don't know how to put it. It's not an aggressive feeling, but it's just like a like, whoa, maybe chill out. But thankfully, my peer, I mean, my colleagues were, I never felt uh, in that sense that they were sort of competing with each other. So I was very thankful that we were all like in this together, and we felt, I think at least for me, I felt really comfortable, and we were very supportive from them. So I mean, they are fantastic players, they are brilliant musicians, but they don't sort of give that vibe. Like, we're in this together, we're very close friends, and so I didn't really feel that. But obviously, when you go into like auditions or like competitions even, or just any, let's say an orchestra, obviously you will feel the pressure, because it's that's just what we do. So you just have to, in a way, deal with it. But you know
Yeah, because I guess at the end of the day, it's not about the competition you have with others, but it's the sort of like your personal sort of growth and your own. Is the competition is in yourself lah, right? To beat that ego, and to also just I guess at the end of the day, it's about practice, right? When it
yeah,
comes
yeah,
to
yeah.
music.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, everybody plays differently, so and and when you play, you sort of tell, you're just telling a story. And especially, I think performing, it's a scary thing, because you're sort of presenting yourself emotionally, and it's like, emotionally, you're just showing everything. You can't hide from it. And that's the scariest thing. You can't hide your emotions when you play, because that's what you want to, is just to convey your emotions.
Mm.
So that's when you can see in it the raw emotions. And I think, like, everybody, like, going back, like, everybody plays differently. So I don't I only for me, I think I appreciate what their emotions are, and like how much they show of themselves, of course.
Mm.
And that's a very, I don't know, I like to see it that way, in terms of how good technically they are, or it's to scan if they did any mistakes. Like, come on. I think a lot of people would do that, but uh you know I mean, everybody makes mistakes, so don't have to take it so personally, or
Yeah. I, gue- I mean, like, I guess in terms of music, there are a few things that sort of um it's yeah. I think just want to ask you, like in terms of music, what to you, what do you think is the most important thing? Is it the skills, is it the confidence, or is it just being hardworking, or at the end of the day it's about emotions also, like your how you express yourself, what do you think is the most important thing?
oh, wow, that's a tough question. uh
or a bit of everything?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, you can't give, how do I put this? I mean, you can't create something without practice. I mean, you can't create something perfectly. Or, I mean, maybe not perfectly. That might not be the right word, but you know what I mean. You can't just create something and it's just perfect as you want it. Maybe if you have the talent, I mean, not everybody has that, obviously, and so I would say, yeah, maybe a little bit of everything. And of course, you need discipline. You need to put in effort. You know, nothing comes for free, and certainly, yeah, hardworking might be, but sometimes um, it's not just about, you know, the hard work. You have to see the world. You have to feel things. To be a in sense to be a musician is, I think, it's just to be humans, that you feel things, you experience things. That's in a way you have all these emotions. Then you have something to say. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like if you always, you know, just lock yourself in the, you know, inside a box and just play, and you know, you can never convey anything because there's nothing for you to say emotionally, because that's,
Right.
you know, you're just making beautiful sound, but is it really music? Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And yeah, I think a little bit of everything. In, you know, there's always this balance that you can't just not practice and, you know, go out every day and you feel everything, but you know, you can't even you know, produce good sounds, then it's obviously
Yeah.
a bad thing. But yeah, I think a little bit of everything. But I I I I think, okay, maybe this. So there is this quote by from this series on Amazon called "The Mozart in the Jungle." So the conductor says to one of the players that that they play with blood. I'm not sure if you really understand reference. It's like sort of your life depends on it. So you put like every bit of your life into it. You know what I mean? It's like it's important that, or you just give in everything.
Right.
Maybe they might sound, you know, calm down, but it's just the
Not
it's just
literally
the
blood, but more
yeah, of
figuratively.
course. It's like yeah, but it's just the emotion that you would, you know, just depend your life on it. You know, that then it gives the excitement, that gives a story to tell. You know, that's
Hmm.
something to say about your sound, and that gives it life to it. That's
Yeah.
what I think it's the most important thing.
That's great. Yeah, I guess next is mainly, right now you're working and you're sort of teaching students as well. And how's that experience for you? After coming from the overseas and getting all those knowledge from overseas, and how do you sort of approach your teaching style as well?
I think I have very quite a lot of teachers before, and then uh, I think it was a great experience for me to sort of learn from all of them, and sort of obviously you can't run away from how you were brought up in a way. You know, no matter how, you know, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So the way how my teachers have shaped me, and I think certainly not the bad things that I would sort of use. You know, so I try to compile all the good all the good stuff, and sort of uh, you know, treasure them, and sort of do as much as I can back to my students.
Mm.
And I think it's important to, I mean, throughout all the time that my all have different teachers, and they all teach very differently, and you sort of have to sort of read uh, different students. You know, you have to, you know, sort of have to cater to them differently. You know, with your words, you know, psychologically, with your planning, you know, so all of them differ. So I think it's quite tiring to sort of to just prepare mentally for them,
Mm.
especially kids. I think kids are the hardest, because you know how you teach them is basically how you shape them, and you know, their world that sort of connects to music is by the teacher. You know, I mean, If, of
Right.
course, if the family is very, they're very, they're music enthusiasts, so they always, show them different types of music, and they know a little bit of music themselves, then obviously it will be better. But not all parents are like that. So you're sort of the bridge between kid and, to music, and obviously you want them to love music, you know.
Mm.
And it's not easy to convey that. Like sometimes they're, especially kids nowadays, they're really cheeky, and they're so fun, and they're so creative, and you just have to find different ways. And I mean, also different kids have, or even adult students as well, so they have
Mm.
different needs. What sort of things should I introduce first? And obviously that's a challenge for all teachers. I can say for all. And yeah, for me, I think teaching actually is learning. For me, that I've actually learned more from teaching. Like you sort of experience, like, oh, that never was a problem for me, and why was it a problem for you? So I have to sort of break it down and really, sort of figure out on my own, and sort of cater to this student,
Mm.
which is a very interesting learning process actually, rather than teaching.
Right.
For
Back
myself,
in
yeah.
uni, do you sort of learn how to sort of teach, or do you like have to like maybe reach to a certain sort of degree in or a level to be able to teach, or is there something where it's maybe part of the process of being a musician as well is to impart knowledge to the to new musicians, or and I guess from what you're saying is also, when you start to learn as well, it's also about going back to basics as well, and trying to break it down, and use also a learning process for you. So yeah, just I guess, yeah, do you sort of learn this during your uni days, and what are the sort of like things that require you to sort of be a teacher lah?
um yes, because I mean, how do I put this? It was quite it's quite intense to be um a musician. I mean, at when so it's like a transition for me. Like I do my normal practices, but then like going into a conservatoire, and it was a different level. So the amount of practices that we have to put in, it was quite intense for me. So in a way, I have to sort of, in a way, of course, to teach myself how to not get hurt, and so I also have to learn. So from people, and asking teachers, or even just asking my peers, and how do you do this, and how do you, and actually I learned a lot from them. And I do teach, like little kids, just as a part-time job. So yeah, I do sort of learn how to teach. And prior to that, I was also working as a teacher before I flew to UK. So sort of, obviously it's quite different at the time, because I was much younger, and less knowledgeable, I suppose, less
Mm.
experience as well. So sort of know how the way to do it. Okay, so if this occurs, then you have, at least you have, it's either this or this, or if that doesn't work, then okay, let's try completely something else. you know yeah. So at the time, I think in uni, it was a little intense, but it was fun too. Even just like you said, like just watching people in you. So like performing is actually, in a way, teaching. I think, like when you perform, you sort of inspire people to sort of, wow, how did he do that? And
Right.
so that jazz lick was so awesome. And it just keeps going on until you go to bed, and the next morning you still hear that lick over your head, so you're like, oh, stop. And then that's, in a way, maybe it could be annoying, or it could be very inspirational. It makes you want to practice. And sometimes it's just, performing is actually teaching for me, I think. How I see it
Mm.
is that they teaching me how to do it, and you're like, oh, yeah, just watching and being
Yeah.
inspired.
Yeah, I guess it's very interesting, like how you say. I don't know, from what I got out of it, it's more like there is a cycle in terms of things, like you give and you take, and there's the sort of like conversations going around in between peers and also teachers as well, that you sort of learn from each other and you sort of
Yeah.
get different points from each other, so that you can sort of improve on yourself, and not just improve on yourself but also it improves others as well. So yeah, I guess it's very interesting how being a musician, there is always this sort of community that sort of builds each other up, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
And
It's very important and very healthy. Yeah.
so yeah, I guess right now, how long have you been working, and what are sort of like career path that you're sort of looking at the moment, and where you sort of wanting yourself to be in the future, and what are sort of plans that you want? Are you wanting to continue teaching, or is music still part of your career goals? And yeah.
Yes. I've sort of stopped working as a teacher in institutes since last year due to the pandemic, and so I've been sort of freelancing back here, and I've always had a plan to sort of to make my own music, but every time it's sort of what sort of music do I really want to produce, and what sort of music do I really want to make? And it's a really hard question, but I always wanted to be an educator, sort of. I wouldn't want to put it as an educator. Just want to share, some good stuff, some good music, some history, some teeny weeny knowledge that be like, oh really, I didn't think of that. I don't want to make it sound like a lecture or anything. So
Right.
I've decided I was thinking of to just doing a podcast about just like just sharing good music, sharing the good stuff. You don't want to keep the good stuff yourself. So
Right.
so yeah, I mean I've been sort of researching on that, and yeah, but I can't wait to start on it. So
That's great.
yeah.
Yeah, I guess during the pandemic, there's definitely a lot of challenges in terms of musicians can't really go and perform to audiences, and there is always this challenge as well in terms of teaching as well. You can't really meet your students anymore through Zooms, and yeah, I guess
Yeah.
I guess that's the creative part of music, I guess, to find new ways to sort of
Yeah.
find people, or just get a place, or a platform to sort of exchange that sort of knowledge in terms of music as well. Yeah.
Yeah. You just always have to keep an I think just always to keep an open mind. You have to be open for opinions or criticisms, or just part of, I think, being a musician. You just have to be able to take a hit in the face sometimes. Not literally, but it's like when you play, and people give comments, and you're thankful that they're being honest, and and it's just good for your personal growth. And I think growing emotionally and sort of mentally, it's very important as a musician, or any kinds of artists. I think it's very important to sort of grow in that direction, or whatsoever direction, but at least there is growth, and and that would sort of change and give you a different path, and it would be open to new inspiration, and create a different art, which is, I think, is amazing.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess next is just to ask, like, in terms of music, what sort of maybe styles that speaks to you, and what are the sort of like music that you like to play, or yeah, I guess it's more towards the music, the styles that you like to play.
Oh, they're all so good, so I can't really pick, but I'll give you like
Top 3, top 5.
yeah, maybe. So like the most important things that violinists should play or should know, right? Maybe that I can give you, but okay. So Bach is number one. So we have it's like the Bible for violinists. So you got the six sonatas, and then you have obviously Paganini, and then you have the Isai ones, uh, also six sonatas, and then you have all the concertos, Sibelius, Tchaikovsky's, Khachaturian, Korngold. So there's just too many good music for violin, and there's too little time for them.
But which one speaks to you though?
Which one speaks to me? Right. Okay.
Like
Uh,
it speaks to your soul, it speaks to your inner being.
Maybe it comes and goes. Sometimes it sticks with you for a few months or for a few days, and then you sort of like grow out of it. But it's still a good piece of music. Okay.
Right.
So Bach is always. Isai is always. I would say Walton. It's an English composer. Walton, his violin concerto or his second symphony is amazing. Philip Glass, which is known for his minimalistic music, and Afropiat. So those are quite modern music in terms of. I mean, they're still alive, so they are sort of like 21st century composers. But Bach and Isai and Walton are certainly not here, not present. So, so there was like the top five composers or violin music.
And I guess maybe that's in the sense of pieces that you would sort of you admire playing, but maybe on another note, maybe what are sort of maybe like musics that you would want to venture into and maybe get to know more and improved on in certain, maybe like you mentioned jazz or blues, and what are sort of like music styles that you are maybe wanting to explore more.
Jazz is also a very wide. It's a very huge genre. So, and then have like subcategories and salsa or whatsoever, and okay, I list a couple of maybe okay, definitely Ahmad Jamal, which is my favorite. He's a African American pianist in the States. Beautiful music. So he does a lot of sort of bossa nova, which is cute and which is awesome. And okay, what others? Recently, sort of into this band called Mammal Hands, which is sort of jazz, but also has very minimalistic sort of music. And then Portico Quartet, and Hania Rani, which is a Polish pianist and a composer as well. So she plays very, very nice music. And oh man, I can't just.
Are these
think
sort
more.
of people that you sort of get your inspiration from, and more towards like, hey, these are artists and composers that that really put the work out there, that it's very interesting, and sort of
Yeah.
it's
So
also a
it's
platform for you to learn more and improve on yourself as well lah.
Yeah. So they yeah, I mean, all of them gives me inspiration, even the classical ones, of course. But it's just living in this era, you can't just always sort of live in that era. I mean, you get inspirations, you sort of learn how they do it, and then now they are you have to come back to the present and know what's actually going on. And a lot of the times you realize that actually go back to the roots as well. So you can't run away because there's only so much we can do.
Right.
But it's just like different approach and different interpretations that will sort of give you. And I just love the creativity that they have.
Right, because I guess at the end of the day, a musician also is, is the constant sort of wanting to change, not sort of change, but more towards like continuation of exploring different types of music, different types of
Yeah.
styles, and so I guess it comes back to the cycle lah. You sort of there's always different genres that you can learn to. At the end of the day, you have this wealth of knowledge from different eras, different styles, different composers that teaches you something. And I guess that's sort of like the lessons in that I got from music. It's also a
Yeah,
lesson in life, I guess.
Yeah, it's just in a way, in the way of life. It's like people just trying to come up with something new, trying to break the wall, break the rules. It happens with Beethoven, Wagner, Schoenberg. They always just try to, it's like, why don't I do a little bit of this? And then everyone's like, no, you can't do this, blah blah blah, and then it completely changes music completely. So so maybe, I don't know, maybe we're sort of waiting for this someone to appear and just to break that wall again, and then we turn it. We don't know what we're gonna listen to in the next 100 years, so I'm sure like Bach wouldn't really understand what we're doing now.
Yeah, like sort
But
of
I'm sure he appreciates
pop
it.
music or rock music. But I
I'm
guess
sure he'll love it. I'm sure he'll love it.
I guess they'll call it minimalistic music.
Well, I don't know. But yeah, it could be considered as that. I mean, it's just a very, very different thing. I mean, like back then, like it's only the royalties, the nobles that can listen to classical music now. So it's a very high society thing at that time, or it could be it's also a very religious thing. You can hear those only in churches or in cathedrals. So it's a very it's a very different concept. So like for us now, we can listen to anything anywhere, literally anything anywhere. You can listen to Bach while you're on the train. You can listen to heavy metal while you're on a jog. I don't know. It's just a very different vibe.
Yeah.
And it's just weird to just sort of know that happened then and only then, and then now we have the privileges to explore all of them and at any given time. So it's awesome.
Okay.
I think we're really glad.
Yeah. So I guess it comes to just the final last two questions. I want to
Sure.
ask in terms of the last second last question is, after going through your life and your career of traveling overseas and getting to learn so many different things when you're there, and also coming back, teaching students and trying to find new music to create. So what have based on all this, like what are sort of things that you wish that you wanted to change, or wanted to sort of the things that now, back then, what are the sort of things that you wish that you would have known, or wish you could have changed to sort of like be in a certain direction in your life? Or would you like change anything, or would you sort of done something differently? Yeah.
I think I would maybe. I mean, I don't regret anything, and I'm very happy that despite all the negative things that happen, but it's just a matter of perspective of whether it being a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, but I try to be at least be optimistic about it, but maybe to be less less harsh on myself. I think as a self note, I mean, I would sort of treat myself a little bit better in terms of psychologically, like telling myself you don't have to beat yourself up so hard for for not doing anything, or just take it easy, like
Yeah.
sometimes like you can push yourself, but you don't have to push yourself so hard till it it defeats the purpose of of actually doing it. So yeah, I think that's one important lesson, if any, if I were to give anyone, just take things easy. Of course, you work, but you don't have to beat yourself up mentally. think
Right.
that is the most important
And
thing I would give to myself.
yeah, so I guess from that, like, what are sort of things that you would tell to someone who is an aspiring, musician who wants to be in, who wants to be a musician? What were you sort of things that you would tell them, uh, you know, yeah, right now? Like, what sort of things that you would want them to know?
Uh, Never stop believing in yourself. Never give up, and have fun. I think have fun doing everything you do. I think these three most important things that for me it's vital. So yeah, never give up and have fun, and never stop believing in yourself. This never.
All right. That's all for today. Thank you so much, Tek Yi, for
Thank
doing
you very
this.
much.
Yeah, it was a great conversation
Awesome.
about on music and also on you as well. Definitely learned a lot, and yeah, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much for having me here.
No problem.
It's a big pleasure. Thank you.
All right. And that was it. Thank you so much, Tek Yi, for coming on and just having a conversation with me about, just about music. And I mean, both of us also, we love music so much that we, sort of have that sort of common interest as well. And so it was really just good to, learn from, Tek Yi about, what his thoughts on music as well, and also just to understand where he's coming from, his journey and his perspective as well. So thank you, Tek Yi. Thank you so much for coming on, and really thank you. Till then, I guess that's it for this week. Next week, I'm gonna interview my cousin. His name is Wilson, and it's gonna be interesting how that goes. Anyway, but yeah, thank you guys so much. Till then, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.